Tyler Webb was standing 20 feet ahead of me on the trail, smiling like he'd just won the lottery. The problem was, I'd watched Tyler Webb's body get loaded into a coroner's van 6 hours earlier, and the thing wearing his face had forgotten to blink for the last 45 seconds. My name's Connor Hayes. I've been a volunteer search and rescue coordinator for Garfield County, Utah for the past 8 years. Before that, I worked as a wilderness guide out of Escalante, taking tourists through the slot canyons and teaching them which plants would kill them if they got desperate enough to eat them. I know the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument better than most people know their own neighborhoods. I've pulled hypothermic hikers out of ice-choked creeks in February. I've splinted broken ankles on 40-degree scree slopes. I've talked down panicked climbers who'd frozen up halfway up a sandstone wall, but I'd never seen anything like what happened on Calf Creek Trail in late September of 2019. The call came in at 7:32 a.m. on a Saturday. Dispatch forwarded it to my cell while I was finishing my second cup of coffee and watching the sun come up over the Kaiparowitz Plateau. Missing hiker. Male. 28 years old. Tyler Webb from Salt Lake City. He'd been solo hiking the lower Calf Creek Falls Trail yesterday afternoon and never returned to his campsite at the BLM campground. His girlfriend, Amanda something, had woken up around 6 a.m. and found his tent empty, his truck still in the lot, and his phone sitting on the dashboard. The lower Calf Creek Trail is one of the easier hikes in the monument, 3 miles each way along a creek, mostly flat, ends at a 126-foot waterfall. It's popular with families. You see kids doing it. So when someone goes missing on that trail, it's usually not good. Either they went off trail and got hurt, or something else happened. I called back and told dispatch I'd head out there. They patched me through to Amanda. She was crying. Not the hysterical kind of crying you get sometimes, but the quiet, scared kind that's somehow worse. Tyler went for a sunset hike yesterday around 5 p.m. She said he'd done the trail before, knew the route. He promised to be back by dark. When he wasn't back by 9 p.m., she'd walk the first mile of the trail with her phone flashlight, calling his name. Nothing. She'd called the ranger station. They'd said to wait until morning before organizing a search. Did he have water? I asked. Headlamp? First aid kit? Yes to the water. A full Nalgene bottle. No to the headlamp. He thought he'd be back before dark. And no first aid kit. Just his phone, which he'd forgotten in the truck. I told her we'd find him. I told her to stay at the campground in case he came back on his own. I told her lies that felt like necessary kindness. By 8:15 a.m., I had a team of 6 volunteers assembled at the trailhead. The ranger station sent over Julie Kern, a seasonal ranger with a good head on her shoulders. She brought her personal tracking dog, a German Shepherd named Bravo who'd found 2 missing kids the summer before. The other volunteers were the usual mix. Dennis Ortega, a retired firefighter from Tropic, Beth Cannon, a nurse from Escalante, 2 college kids from Southern Utah University who volunteered during the fall semester, Jared and Whitney, and Paul Stillwater, a quiet Paiute guy from Cedar City who knew more about tracking than anyone I'd ever met. The morning was clear and cool, temperature in the low 50s, perfect hiking weather. We gathered in the dirt parking lot while Julie gave Bravo the scent from one of Tyler's shirts that Amanda had provided. The dog caught it immediately, nose working, tail up. Paul was studying the dirt near Tyler's truck. He waved me over. "Look at this," he said quietly. There were boot prints in the fine dust. Tyler's boots, presumably leading from the driver's side door toward the trailhead. But about 10 feet from the truck, the prints changed. The left boot seemed deeper than the right, like he'd been limping or dragging one leg. Then they evened out again. Could have stepped wrong, I said. Rolled an ankle, then walked it off. Paul didn't look convinced, but he didn't argue. We moved to the trailhead. The Calf Creek Trail follows the creek the whole way. Cottonwoods on both sides, red sandstone cliffs rising up, plenty of shade in the morning. It's beautiful country. The kind of place that reminds you why you live in Utah instead of somewhere flat and sad. Bravo led us at a steady pace, nose down, following Tyler's scent without hesitation. We moved in a loose line, calling Tyler's name every few minutes. The creek burbled beside us. Birds called from the trees. Everything normal. 1 mile in, Bravo stopped. Dog sat down hard, staring at something on the trail ahead. Not growling, not barking, just staring. His ears were forward, his body tense. Julie moved up beside him. "What is it, boy?" I walked past him to see what had caught his attention. It was a boot print in a patch of damp sand near the creek. A bare footprint, actually human, adult male, judging by the size. The weird thing was the depth. It was deeper than it should have been, like whoever made it weighed 300 pounds. But the print itself wasn't that big, maybe a size 10. That Tyler's size? Paul asked from behind me. "I don't know," I said, but I was thinking about what Amanda had said. Tyler was 5 to 10, maybe 170, not a big guy. Dennis knelt down beside the print, studying it. "There's another one here, and another. Looks like he was walking along the creek edge and cut back to the trail." "Why would he take his boots off?" Beth asked. "Maybe his feet were hot," Whitney suggested. "Maybe he was cooling off." "In 50-degree weather?" Jared said. Julie tried to get Bravo moving again, but the dog wouldn't budge. He kept staring at that print, a low whine building in his throat. She eventually had to physically pull him past it, and even then he kept looking back over his shoulder. We continued on. The trail narrowed in places, squeezed between the creek and the sandstone walls. 2 miles in, we found Tyler's water bottle sitting on a rock beside the trail. It was full. The cap was on. No damage to the bottle. No sign of a struggle. Just sitting there like he'd placed it down carefully. Beth picked it up. "Why would he leave this?" "Maybe he had to pee," Dennis said. Set it down and forgot about it. But the bottle was sitting perfectly upright, perfectly centered on the rock, not casually set down, placed. Paul was looking at the ground near the rock. He pointed to another set of boot prints. These were Tyler's boots, based on the tread pattern, but the stride length was wrong. Too long, like someone with longer legs had been wearing them. I radioed back to Amanda at the campground. I asked her how tall Tyler was, exactly. 5'9", she said. "Why?" "Just checking some details." "And he was wearing Merrell hiking boots? Brown?" "Yes." "Are those his prints you're seeing?" "We're seeing prints," I said, which was not quite a lie. 3 miles in, we reached a falls. Calf Creek Falls is a stunning piece of geology, a ribbon of water dropping from a red cliff into a clear pool surrounded by maidenhair ferns and moss. It's the kind of place that makes people take photos, the kind of place where you expect to find families having picnics. We found Tyler Webb face down in the pool at the base of the falls. Beth was the first to reach him. She waded in without hesitation, grabbed him by the shoulders, and turned him over. His face was pale and slack, his eyes half open. She checked for a pulse. "Nothing," she said. "He's cold." We pulled him out of the water together. Dennis started CPR while Beth checked for injuries. No obvious trauma, no blood, no broken bones. He was wearing his clothes, his boots. Everything seemed normal except for the fact that he was dead. We worked on him for 20 minutes. Standard protocol. Even when you know it's hopeless, you do the work. Eventually, Dennis sat back on his heels, breathing hard. "He's been dead for hours," Beth said quietly. "Rigor's already setting in. There's nothing we can do." I radioed the ranger station. They sent for the county coroner and a helicopter to evacuate the body. We covered Tyler with an emergency blanket and waited. Nobody talked much. These things happen in the wilderness. People slip on wet rocks, hit their heads, drown in 3 feet of water. The mountains don't care how experienced you are. The coroner arrived 2 hours later via helicopter. Dr. Richard Moss, a man in his 60s who'd been doing this job longer than I'd been alive. He examined the body efficiently, took photos, filled out paperwork. Preliminary assessment was accidental drowning. No signs of foul play. Probably slipped on the rocks, went into the water unconscious, never came back up. We hiked out with the body bag on a stretcher. 6 of us taking turns carrying. Amanda was waiting in the parking lot. When she saw the black bag, she made a sound I'll never forget. A kind of high, thin wail that didn't sound like it came from a human throat. "I'm so sorry," I told her. "We did everything we could." She collapsed against her car. Julie stayed with her while the coroner loaded the body into the helicopter. The rest of us packed up our gear in silence. Just another tragedy in beautiful country. Just another name on the list of people who came to Utah looking for adventure and found something permanent instead. I drove home thinking about that boot print in the sand. The too deep, wrong weight print that Bravo wouldn't walk past. I thought about the water bottle sitting perfectly centered on that rock. I thought about how Tyler's face had looked in death. It was peaceful, almost. Not frightened. Not like someone who drowned by accident. I got home around 4 p.m. I was heating up leftover chili when my phone rang. "Julie." "Connor," she said. Her voice was shaking. "You need to come back to the trailhead. Right now." "What's wrong?" "Just come. Please." I made it back in 15 minutes. Julie's truck was still in the lot. Amanda's car was gone. But there was someone else standing at the trailhead. Tyler Webb? He was wearing the same clothes he'd been wearing when we pulled him out of the water. Same brown Merrell boots, same faded blue t-shirt, same cargo pants. His hair was wet, plastered to his skull. Water was dripping off him, forming a puddle in the dirt. Julie was standing 20 feet away from him, her hand on the pepper spray at her belt. "Connor," she said when I got out of my truck. "Look at him. Just look at him." I looked. Tyler Webb smiled at me. His teeth were very white. His eyes were very dark, and he wasn't blinking. "Hey," he said. His voice sounded right, but there was something off about the rhythm of it, like someone who'd learned English from a textbook and was trying to sound casual. I got turned around out there. Can someone give me a ride back to the campground? I opened my mouth, closed it, looked at Julie. She was pale, her hand still on the pepper spray. "Tyler," I said carefully, "we pulled your body out of the water this morning." He tilted his head. The movement was too fluid, too smooth, like his neck didn't have vertebrae, just a hinge. "That's impossible," he said. "I'm standing right here. See?" He lifted one hand and waved it. The gesture was perfect, the timing was perfect, but his eyes still hadn't blinked, not once. "Where have you been for the last 8 hours?" Julie asked. "Hiking," Tyler said. "Lost track of time. Fell asleep by the creek. Woke up and realized how late it was." He smiled again. "Amanda must be worried. Should probably get back to her." He started walking toward us. His gait was wrong. Each step was perfectly even, perfectly measured. No natural sway. No limp from hiking all day. Just this mechanical precision that made my skin crawl. "Stop," I said. He stopped immediately. Rose mid-step, one foot in the air. Then slowly, deliberately, put his foot down and stood still. "Why?" he asked. His head tilted the other way now. The movement was identical to before. Exactly identical. Like he'd practiced it. Julie backed toward her truck. "Connor," she whispered. "That's not Tyler." "I know," I said. The thing that looked like Tyler Webb stared at us for a long moment. Then it blinked. One slow, deliberate blink. Like it had just remembered that's what people do. "I'm Tyler Webb, it said. I live in Salt Lake City. I came here to hike with my girlfriend Amanda. I'm 28 years old. I work as a software engineer. My favorite food is pizza. My favorite band is The Killers. I have a dog named Cooper. He's a golden retriever. All of that might have been true. It probably was true. But it was being delivered in this flat, rehearsed way. Like someone reciting facts they'd memorized. "What's your mother's name?" I asked suddenly. Tyler hesitated, just for a fraction of a second. Then Carol. "What's your girlfriend's last name?" Another hesitation. "Stevens. What color is your truck?" He looked over at the parking lot. There was only one truck there now. Tyler's truck. Blue Ford Ranger. "Blue," he said. That was the wrong answer. Tyler's truck was red. I'd seen it that morning. Amanda had been sitting on the tailgate when we loaded the body. "Julie," I said quietly, "get in your truck. What do you? Just do it. Lock the doors. Radio the ranger station." She moved slowly toward her truck, not taking her eyes off Tyler. He watched her go. His head swiveled to follow her movement, but his body stayed perfectly still, just his head rotating like an owl's. "Where are you really from?" I asked. The Tyler thing looked back at me. Something shifted behind its eyes. Something old and cold and nothing like human. "The rocks," it said. "The caves. The dark places where the sun doesn't reach. Where your people used to leave offerings. Before you forgot." My mouth went dry. I knew what it was now. My grandmother had told me stories. Paiute stories. Navajo stories. Southern Paiute and Ute stories. Different tribes. Same basic idea. There are things in the desert. Things that watch. Things that learn. Things that take. "You can't have him," I said. It smiled. Tyler Webb's smile, but too wide. Too many teeth showing. "I already have him," it said. "I'm wearing him right now. Can't you see?" It spread its arms, gesturing to Tyler's body. "Perfect fit. You're not invited into town," I said. I don't know how I knew that, but I did. Some old instinct. Some inherited knowledge. You need permission to cross into human places. That's the rule, isn't it? The smile faded. Its arms dropped. "Yes," it said simply. "That's the rule. Then you're staying out here." It took a step forward. I held my ground, even though everything in my body was screaming at me to run. "You found me," it said. "You called my name. You looked for me." That's a kind of invitation, isn't it? "No," I said. "We looked for Tyler Webb, not you." "But I'm Tyler Webb now," it insisted. "See? Same face, same voice, same memories." It tapped its temple, got them all. Every birthday party, every first kiss, every bad dream. All of it. "So if you invited Tyler Webb to come home, you invited me. That's not how it works," I said, hoping to God I was right. Behind me, I heard Julie's truck door open. "Connor," she called. "Ranger Station says to get away from it. They're sending backup." The Tyler thing's eyes shifted to her, then back to me. "Tell Amanda I'm sorry," it said. That was the first thing it had said that sounded genuinely emotional, almost sad. Tell her Tyler loved her very much, right up until the end. When the water filled his lungs and everything went dark, he was thinking about her. My stomach turned. "You killed him." "No," it said. "The rocks killed him. The fall killed him. I just took what was left. Waste not, want not. That's what your people say, isn't it?" It turned and walked back toward the trailhead. Not hurried, not rushed, just a casual walk, like someone heading out for an afternoon hike. At the mouth of the trail, it stopped and looked back. "I'll be here," it called. "If you ever want to invite me in, I'll be waiting. I'm very patient. I've been patient for a very long time." Then it walked into the cottonwoods and disappeared. Julie pulled up beside me in her truck. "Get in," she said. I did. We drove to the ranger station and filed a report. They sent a team out at dawn the next morning. They searched the entire trail system. 3 days of searching, they found nothing. No sign of the Tyler thing. No tracks. Nothing. The coroner ruled Tyler Webb's death an accidental drowning. Amanda took his body back to Salt Lake for the funeral. I didn't go. I couldn't face her, knowing what I knew. Knowing that something was out there wearing her boyfriend's memories like a stolen coat. 6 months later, I got a call from a ranger in Bryce Canyon. They'd found a hiker who'd been missing for 2 days, a woman in her 30s. Perfectly healthy, perfectly fine, except she couldn't remember how to blink, and her shadow didn't quite line up with her body. She wanted someone to drive her into town. She was very polite about it, very insistent. They didn't let her leave the parking lot. Last month, I heard about another one near Zion. This time it was a teenage boy who'd fallen off Angel's Landing, died instantly, according to the medical examiner. Except someone matching his description showed up at the visitor center 3 days later, asking for directions into Springdale. When the rangers tried to question him, he ran back into the canyon and vanished. They're getting bolder. Or maybe they've always been there, and we're just now paying attention. Here's what I learned. If you're hiking in Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, anywhere in the desert Southwest, and you find someone who went missing days ago, look at them carefully before you help them. Watch for the blink rate. Watch for the shadow. Watch for the way they move, the way they talk, the way they smile. If something feels wrong, trust that feeling. Don't let them into your car. Don't take them into town. Don't invite them across any threshold, because some things in the desert are older than we are, older than our cities and roads and parking lots, and they're still following the old rules, the ones we've forgotten. They need permission. They need invitation. They need you to welcome them in. If you've made it this far and these stories interest you, consider subscribing to the channel. More accounts like this get shared every week. Things people have encountered in wild places. Things that shouldn't exist but do. If you've had your own experience, drop it in the comments. Sometimes it helps to know you're not alone in what you've seen. And if you're planning a trip into the desert, be safe out there. Pay attention. And if you find someone who shouldn't be there, maybe just radio for help and keep your distance. Some invitations can't be taken back.